afternoon, good moment, good evening, wherever you are in this baseball universe. Welcome back to another edition, another episode, so to say, of Win Leo's Money. Now, some of you may not have seen our pilot episode that we put out 2 weeks ago. It was a base level, kind of no microphones. Look, I got angry, surly baseball fans in the greatest baseball room in Facebook history, and they're just angry and they're surly and they're ready to kill each other. So I decided to go out, make a couple creations, try to keep my members, my boys and my girls happy in the room. And we came up with a couple games, and one of them is this game. It's called Win Leo's Money. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't introduce my main man out of Dewey, Arizona. It's my main man, Brian Belzino. What is up, brother?
What is happening, Jake the Snake? How are you, my man?
I'm doing quite well, man. I want to thank you for being here, helping me out with the technical issues that we've had this week. But the show must go on. I don't give a shit. I'm going to do what I got to do when I do it. I'm going to do it better than anybody else.
That's how we roll.
I want to thank you for being here, Bells.
You got it, man.
I want to introduce our first contestant of Win. Well, actually, technically, it's our second contestant. Our first contestant last week was Jared Kopp. He came up a little bit short, and now it's going on to my man out of Orlando, Florida, Cecil Hackworth. What is up, Hack?
What's going on, Jake?
How you feeling, brother?
I'm feeling good. I'm a little nervous with Leo here, though, because this is a tough guy.
Look, that motherfucker is Brock Lesnar when it comes to trivia. I'm telling you. So, you got to be on your game with him. But, we're here to have a little fun. So, and if you beat him, you get $15. You can't be wrong about that.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So, everybody knows you're a big Oakland A's fan in the Let's Talk Baseball podcast membership room. Everybody knows you're an Oakland A's fan. I'm looking at the A's, and I got to tell you, man, I mean, top to bottom, that team is stacked, brother. And when I look at that team, I would say I got, and I don't know how this is all going to shake out, American League, National League. Maybe it's an East-West thing, a regional thing. I don't know how it is, but I do have faith that baseball is coming back. But I will say this, if it stays in this American League kind of thing that we have right now, I would say the Oakland A's are at least the second best team in baseball. I mean, in the American League. I think it's the Yankees, and then it's the Oakland A's. How you feeling about them boys this year?
I think they're looking real good. I mean, they got a top five rotation, or not a top five, but their top five starters. Their rotation is going to be good. I mean, you got Mania, Puck, Luzardo, Montas, Fires.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that when I look at the Oakland A's, I see a team that's won 194 games in the past 2 years, which stacks up with certainly some of the best teams. Now, their problem is they haven't been able to get past the Houston Astros as far as the American League West is concerned. They haven't been able to get out of the first round of the playoffs, which is usually a one-game kind of deal for them, and they haven't been able to get out of that. Now, you're talking about pitching, and I got to tell you, I'm right there with you, brother. In the years past, I mean, I remember the Brett Andersons and the Edwin Jacksons coming in here making shit work. I think the A's are now in a position where they've got some really good pitching options here. Hey, Luzardo, this kid, I'm an AJ Puck guy. I've been talking about Puck for 3 years now. This guy is probably better than Puck. I mean, quite honestly, he's a freak.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And if I was going to put him in order in my rotation, I've got Mania as number one starter. I got Luzardo at number 2, Puck at number 3, Montas 4, and I'm putting Fires on the bottom of that rotation. Fires, he's got more games. He's played more seasons, but I just think he's off down. He's not.
I hear you, but you can't go wrong with him in a number 4 spot in the American League. Those guys don't even really factor in once it comes to the playoffs and, hopefully deep into the playoffs. You're talking World Series. You're not worried about those guys at the back end. But, here's the thing. I think that Luzardo has that quality where he can straight up be an ace. I mean, a total fucking stud for the Oakland A's in years to come. And I think the A's have benefited from this late season start because A.J. Puck coming off of Tommy John surgery, he really wasn't supposed to come back until July at some time. Now he's probably going to come with the team from the beginning. They can monitor his innings because it's only going to be a half inning. So I think the ball is in Oakland's court as far as pitching is concerned. I've always, the last 2 years, like, man, what reliever are they going to use to start this playoff game? You know, and I don't feel like that's the situation with them anymore.
Oh, they definitely don't need that opener as a starter no more. Yeah, I mean,
I agree.
Leave that to Tampa Bay. They can have that all day long. You know, was it a good experiment? It was. Yeah,
it got you where you needed to be.
It doesn't. That doesn't get you where you need to be. You know,
it's not going to get you to the bottom line. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Now you put those. You know, you give Luzardo and Punk some seasoning there. You let Manaea has been relatively well. He got hurt. Now he came back and he started the last 5 games of the year. It was pretty good. Started that playoff game that they wound up losing. But, you know, like Manaea is another one. He's got a no-hitter under his belt. The kid definitely has skills. So I think the Oakland pitching is great. I look at this lineup. You probably got the best 2 young corners in the game. You know, it's debatable, but Chapman, Olsen, they're pretty good. Olsen went down at the beginning of the year. Chris Davis went down towards the end of the year, and the guys were still fine offensively.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, we're getting stars up there, you know. I mean, look at Seth Brown. He's going to be a stud. You know, Sean Murphy, the catcher, he's going to be a stud. No doubt about that.
Yes. You're bringing up Murphy, and the one thing that I do like about the A's as well is that it's you know, whatever they brought in this year, besides T.J. McFarland, who's a ground ball pitcher who's going to come in handy for them, everything that they brought in this year was relatively new. They brought up Luzardo, Puck, and Murphy. They brought in Tony Kemp from the Astros. He's going to be competing with Franklin Barreto, who you got in the Josh Donaldson trade a couple years ago with Toronto. So all these guys are young, and here's the last thing that I want to finish this out before we get to the game. I think now is the time that Oakland has got to make it happen, both on the field and in the stadium deal that they're working out. They got to use this momentum that they have right here, and they got to get it done. They have to get the stadium deal done at the Howard Terminal, because the only way you're going to keep the Simeons and the Olsons and the Chapmans, you got to be able to spend major league money in a mid-market town, and they got to do this. They have to do this. What are you hearing about Howard Terminal and the new stadium?
As of, well, at the end of the season, everything was ready to go. But now with, you know, everything going on with this pandemic, you know, it's kind of slowed down on talk. So I haven't heard anything lately of it. You got to remember, this is Simeon's final season. You know, they need to give him money. If they don't give him money, we're going to lose him. There's no way that Oakland's going to give up that much money, you know, for him, because they've always been that low pay. They need to come off of their ass and start handing these guys contracts like they deserve.
Well, that's the dilemma. They can't do it playing in the mausoleum. They just cannot generate the revenue there that it takes to pay these guys. So, you know, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think they got to get it done on the field. And if you get it done on the field this year, you know, you can get it done in the community. I know that it's an engineering mess trying to figure out parking in Oakland, but there's got to be some way that we can get it done. It's a great talking to you about the A's baseball, and I'm ready to get this game rolling. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's get it done.
Okay, so let me explain this game to you, brother. And you saw how it's done, but let's give you a brief overview. It's 9 questions. You have a minute and a half to answer those questions. You can skip, you can pass, you can go back. Like I said, there's a minute and a half on the clock. Either you can finish out your questions and say stop the clock, because it comes down to whoever's got the most answers right, or if it's a tie, then it comes down to the time. So you want to think about that in your strategy. If you don't think that you know an answer when you go back, maybe you just stop the clock at the end of your 9 questions. That's something you want to think about. It's all about strategy. Leo's pretty good. So I'm ready to begin Win Leo's Money. Are you ready, Cecil?
Let's get her down. Let's do it.
You understand the rules, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, I got 90 seconds on the clock here. I will give a fist bump when we're at 15 seconds remaining.
You got it, brother. And don't start the clock until I complete the first question.
You got
Cecil, are you ready to try to win Leo's money?
I'm ready to try.
Let's go. Who is the current manager of the Boston Red Sox?
Ron Carter-Weiss.
Who'd you say?
Carter-Weiss.
What is Shohei Ohtani's uniform number?
24.
Who was the first African American pitcher to throw a no-hitter?
Satchel Paige.
Which athletic slugger crushed 30 or more home runs in 12 consecutive seasons?
McGuire.
What was the final total of consecutive games played by Cal Ripken Jr.?
2,135.
Which southpaw has the most wins for a left-handed pitcher?
Koufax.
What is the career leader for total bases? Who is the career leader of total bases?
Pass.
Name the only player to win a World Series MVP from a losing team.
Pass.
Two catchers have caught 4 no-hitters. Name one of these catchers.
Carlton Fisk.
Do you want to go back or do you want to stop?
Go back.
Okay. Who is the career leader of total bases?
Pete Rose.
Name the that's it. How do you feel about that, brother?
I'm a little sketchy on a few of them. I know the manager was wrong. It was Gary Roenick,
I gave you an A's question.
and I missed it.
You did. In fact, let me do my math here, because, 1 plus 1, 1 plus 1, plus 1. Okay, you got 0. Right.
Wow. Yeah.
All right, let's go over and let's give you the answers, okay? I thought you might have got the right one right. I had to ask you again, what'd you say? Who was the current manager of the Boston Red Sox? It's Ron Roenick.
Ron,
Who? You said Ron Carter-Weiss.
yeah.
What is Shohei Ohtani's uniform number? It's 17. Who was the first African-American pitcher to throw a no-hitter? That's Sam Toothpick Jones. Which athletic slugger crushed 30 or more home runs in 12 consecutive seasons? That's Jimmy Fox.
And I wasn't even thinking that far back. Jesus.
What was the final total of consecutive games played by Cal Ripken Jr.? The answer was 2,632. Which southpaw has the most wins for a left-handed pitcher? That was Warren Spahn. Who is the career leader of total bases? That's Hank Aaron. Name the only player to win a World Series MVP from a losing team, Bobby Richardson in 1960. And 2 catchers have caught 4 no-hitters. Name one of those catchers. That was Jason Varitek and Chooch Ruiz. So you got 0, brother. And I don't know, Tigers are the runners. So worst case conditions, if Leo gets 0 here, he ties. Now, don't let him know, just keep a poker face about you and try to look like you got all 9 of them right, I guess.
Damn, I blew that out of the damn water. Holy shit.
Definitely out of the water. I mean, you pretty much, you were the iceberg in that situation.
Good Lord.
Good Lord is right, my brother. That's all right. Did you have fun?
Oh, I did. I did. But
that's what matters.
Now let's see
what we got here.
Now I feel like an idiot.
All right. So we're just waiting for Leo to come in here. So, yeah, like I was saying about the Oakland A's, man, I really hope that they can get this stadium situation together. Another thing I like about the Oakland A's is that outfield, man. I think it's very, very deep, especially if you get Chris Davis back healthy. He's good for a 243 average, 30-some home runs, 100-some. That's what he does. You know what I mean? And I'd say who impressed me last year was Mark Hanna. What do you think about that kid?
Oh, man, I'm really loving him. Yeah, my top 3 right now, as favorite players, not pitchers, position players, is going to be Chapman, of course. Olson my number 2 favorite. Canna, and then Seth Brown. I think, and Chad Pender. Chad Pender's a great utility guy. You
He
know,
is. He is a great. He's another guy that the outfield is almost becoming a little overcrowded. You know, Scotty comes back. You know what I mean? You got a lot of options there. As is any word on Leo, my friend? Belzito?
I am waiting on a message back from him, and then as soon as he's available, I will let him in the room.
All right. So we're just waiting on Leo to accept the challenge. And maybe he got scared. Cecil.
Hey,
You never know.
I
Maybe he
got
was
some
like,
positivity for the. I got some
man.
positivity for the A's. At least you got the Raiders out of your stadium.
He's like Hackworth. He's been around since Satchel Paige was pitching. So, I mean, I'm scared of that dude right there.
All right, we got him waiting in the waiting room. I'm going to let him in now. We good to go?
Oh, Mr. Leo Jahn out of Melbourne, Australia. I mean, it is just epic that we have an Oriole fan, a diehard Oriole fan that lives in Melbourne, Australia. And I see Mr. Leo Jahn now. He's connecting to audio. Mr. Jahn, how are you, my friend?
No, good to go. How are you guys?
Very good. It's so good to see you. How is weather down there in Melbourne?
It's beautiful today. A bit chilly for my taste, but other than that, it's dry. So that's as much as I ask.
That is awesome. You know, Leo, every time I see you, you bring a smile to my face, man, because I think about, like, your life and shit, man. And it's really an amazing story, man. Like, you started out in Venezuela. You're just like this happy-go-lucky kid, and you love baseball. What is it about Major League Baseball as a kid in Venezuela that you loved so much from the beginning?
Firstly, because well, obviously, when I was a kid, I started watching baseball, live baseball, meaning in the stadium when I was about 9 or 10. We had our own winter league, and the winter league back in the 70s was really good. The teams were stacked with major leaguers and soon to be major leaguers. So I started watching the local team, the Caracas Lions, 1973-74, and the big star was Joe Ferguson, a catcher that was then the main catcher for the Dodgers. And he basically killed the league. I think he broke the league record in RBIs. But not only him, we had Bert Campaneri, who was playing shortstop. David Lopes was the second baseman. Victor Oliva was in center field. Luis Tiant was a pitcher. These were all established major leaguers. I mean, Luis Tiant came to Venezuela to pitch after he won 3 or 4 times, 20 games for the Red Sox and India. So it was really great. And then the fact that I saw these guys in Venezuela, and then I knew they played in the major leagues. I started following Major League Baseball, just watching the box scores every day, just to see what these guys had done. So before I knew it, I was a Dodgers fan, and then years later, I turned to the Orioles.
But so from that moment, you were hooked. And you told me that your love later, you started out as this Dodgers fan, and then you came to admire the Orioles because, you know, they kind of had this bash them out of the park, play fucking good pitching, good defense, and it had Earl Weaver at the helm. And somewhere in the midst of that, after this is going on, I mean, you really caught some prime years of the Orioles. We're talking 76, 77, the 70s, late 70s, early 80s. Pretty good Orioles teams right there, right?
Yeah, I watched a game of the Orioles, I think 76. Jim Palmer threw a complete game shutout in an hour and 50 minutes. And I thought
never happens anymore, by the way.
This is the baseball I like. Just strikes down the strike zone, the guys hitting grounders, and between, the Blade and Bobby Grich turning double plays. I mean, it was fantastic baseball.
Right on. So let's fast forward a little bit. You're living this beautiful life in your country, and you're loving life. Things seem to be going swimmingly well, and then all of a sudden, Hugo Chavez and the socialist regime takes it. What happens then?
Well, they take in, like happens in all South American countries at some point, and they start, imposing socialism, and everything starts turning to shit. They start attacking private enterprise, so everyone started losing jobs. The situation became very difficult on the streets, very, insecurity. So at some point, I said in 2006, if these things keeps going on, I'll have to leave. And then he got reelected with rigged elections. And then I said, no, I'm going to pack my shit and go and leave this country. I had young kids by then. So I don't want my kids to grow in this country, to grow up here. and Australia was offering permanent resident visas to people with certain skills. I'm a civil engineer, so my skill was in their list. So I applied for a permanent residence visa, got it very easily, took a plane, got to Melbourne in 2007. I've been living here since. So
what an amazing story. And we're going to keep going on with this story as the weeks of the show goes on, though. I love your story. Leo, you ready to defend your crown here against Cecil?
Let's go for it. Let's go for it.
All right. Don't start the clock until I complete the first questionnaire, Bells, and I'll also keep an eye out for the fist, okay?
You got it, boss.
All right, brother. Mr. Leo, you ready?
How many? Is that what, a minute and a half or same time?
Questions.
Okay.
90 seconds
questions.
Okay.
90 seconds on the clock. You can pass. We can go back, or you can just pass and you can end it after the end. Okay?
And when you see me give
All
this,
right.
that means there's 15 seconds left when I give the fist signal.
Okay.
Gotcha. All right, here we go. Who is the current manager of the Boston Red Sox?
Then the new manager.
Yes.
Not Alex Cora. No. Pass. Not another change from Alex Cora.
What is Shohei Ohtani's uniform number? Shohei Ohtani, what's his uniform number? Who was the first African-American pitcher to throw a no-hitter?
African American.
Hmm?
Pass.
Which athletic slugger crushed 30 or more home runs in 12 consecutive seasons?
Athletics.
Yes.
In Oakland Athletics or the Philadelphia Athletic or the whole.
Whatever, the whole franchise.
Jimmy Fox.
What was the final total of consecutive games played by Cal Ripken Jr.?
Well, what's that?
What was the final total of consecutive games played by Cal Ripken Jr.?
2,632.
Which southpaw has the most wins for a left-handed pitcher?
Which, sorry? Warren Span?
Which southpaw has the most wins for a left-handed pitcher?
Warren Span.
What is the career leader for total bases?
The Korean. Sin Soo Shu.
Name the only player to win a World Series MVP for. Well, Leo, you got, let me see here. You got 1, 2, 3. You got 3 correct.
Yeah.
And that is enough to beat Cecil Hackworth this worth. Congratulations. Leo, you still get to keep your money.
You didn't get more than 3 Cecil.
All right, let's go through the questions, and I'll give you the names to the answers. Okay?
Yeah.
The first question was, who was the current manager for the Boston Red Sox? It's Ron Roenicke, Gary Roenicke's little brother. He managed the Brewers from 2011 to 2015. He's got a managerial record of 342 and 331. What is Shohei Ohtani's uniform number? It's 17. He was number 11 when he played for the Nippon Ham Fighters in Japan, but the Angels would not let him keep 11 because that's Jim Fragosi's number, and that's already retired by the Angels. Which athletic slugger crushed 30 or more home runs in 12 consecutive seasons? You got that right. It's Jimmy Fox. Jimmy Fox, the most prodigious slugger in A's history, 534 dongs. What was the final total of consecutive games played by Cal Ripken Jr.? You got that right. It's 2,632 games. That's 511 more games after he broke Lou Gehrig's record. Which southpaw has the most wins for left-handed pitchers? You got that right. It's Warren Spahn. He had 363 wins. Steve Carlton had 329. Gettysburg's Eddie Plank had 326. Tom Glavine had 305. And Randy Johnson had 303. Who is your career leader in total bases? You didn't. I don't think you got to that question. The correct answer was Hank Aaron, or you can call him the most underrated baseball player if you would like. I would have accepted that. He's got 6,856 total bases. The second best is Stan Musial. He's got 6,134. So Hank has 722 more total bases than his next person, which is Stan Musial. Willie Mays has 6,134. They're the only three players in baseball history that have over 6,000 total bases. The next closest is Bonds. He had 5,976, which would be 880 less total bases than Hank Aaron. Name the only player to win a World Series MVP from the losing team. Do you know that one?
Yeah, Bobby Richardson with the Yankees in 61.
Right, 1960 World Series.
60, yeah.
He batted like, what did he bat? He batted 367 with 12 ribs in a losing act.
He batted in 12 runs, yeah.
Smoking hot. Who was the first African-American pitcher to throw a no-hitter? It was a guy named Sam Jones. He's Sam Toothpick Jones, actually.
Slim Sam Jones.
The great thing about this no-hitter is, in the ninth inning, he walked the bases loaded and then struck out the side. First African-American pitcher to throw a no-hitter. And the final question of the quiz, and Leo, you didn't get to answer this, so I'm going to give you a shot. 2 catchers have caught 4 no-hitters. Name one of these catchers.
Dean McCarver.
No, that would be wrong.
Budge.
No. The 2 answers are, you could have either said Chooch Ruiz or Jason Varitek. Chooch Ruiz, he caught no-hitters. He caught 2 perfect games. One was from Roy Halladay, and one is for Halladay, and one is for Cole Hamels. And then he caught another for Halladay and a combined no-hitter. Varitek had 4 from Nomo, Lowe, Buchholz, and Lester. So it looks like our time is about running up. I want to thank you guys for coming out. I hope you had a great time. I really enjoyed having you here, talking A's, talking about your life, Leo. And I look forward to seeing you next week.
I thought I missed the Hank Aaron question. I thought I heard who's the leading Korean player in total bases. For some reason, I was really confused by that. I don't know why. I don't know what I heard, but I wouldn't have said Sin Soo Choo if I didn't hear Korean. Anyway,
we're getting ready to get kicked off, man. I want to thank you guys for coming out. Everybody, hold your spot real quick as Belzino takes us out.